Girls can get friendzoned too. Women of Reddit, share your stories. The last couple weeks I've been on 5-6 dates with this guy. A cop I've known for years. Yesterday he texts me, "I'm really enjoying hanging out with you. I know we're not BFGF material, but I can see us being great friends." Today, he asked me out for lunch and told me about the date he had last night. He told me it wasn't a romantic date, just a friend date like what we do. Yup, I'm pretty sure I'm friend-zoned. This guy would come over to my house and insist on cuddling and watching movies the whole time. Would keep me up all night on the phone because he slept better when he could hear my voice. Would send me good morning texts. And hold my hand whenever the opportunity presented itself. Then told his best friend that he wished I would just get over it. Double quote. See. In my experience, a solid majority of males are oblivious to hints that chicks think are blatantly obvious. I was talking to my boyfriend the other day about before we got together, and a lot of the things I did to try and let him know I was mega into him weren't even noticed. In the end, a simple "I'm into you, we should go out" does the trick really well. I went on a couple dates with one guy I'd met through friends. Or so I thought. We proceeded to hook up. And 3 days later he was dating another girl. He thought we were both just lonely and hanging out. I thought he was the bee's knees. We're great friends to this day. But I cried every time I saw him for the longest. I've friend-zoned guys before, but never since that day. I make it a point to be very upfront and honest. I didn't realize how much worse than heartbreak the friend-zone felt. I was in love with my best friend for 3 years. We did everything together. Went to the movies. Had Doctor Who nights. Went hiking, etc. He would even stop by to talk to me at work and texted me every night about which episodes of Star Trek were on. He told me all his sh and I told him mine. He helped me out of my depression and was the first one I told when I was raped. We gave each other gifts and everyone thought we were dating. He even encouraged the image when we were out in public. But it never went anywhere. Instead of telling me he simply wasn't attracted to me, we continued a charade of couple-like behavior. He started dating someone and I felt I needed to be blunt. Blunter than I had already been. I told him I loved him and he didn't talk to me for a year. He got married in September. I'm engaged now, so I guess it all worked out for the best in the end. Close bracket. I'd had an absolutely massive 4-year-long crush on a friend of mine. I got worse than friend-zoned though. "You're just like a sister to me." Double quote. Just recently he came out. And he asked me if I'd think it's okay if he hooked up with my brother. Fall hard for boy. Spend a collective 2 months in a casual fling, spread over 5 months. He serenades me. A few days later he tells me he wants to get back with his ex. Whatever. Get over him, mostly. All is well. Then 6 months later, he calls me and tells me he needs someone to talk to. I, of course, go with him. He drives me around while ranting about his, once again, ex-girlfriend. We drive past a place where, apparently, they had sex in the parking lot and tells me all about it. He spends about 2 hours telling me why he's crazy about this girl and why she pisses him off. Then he takes me home and never talks to me again. You're a guy. This sorta goes along with this thread. I totally friend-zoned this girl in high school. I'd gone to elementary and middle school with her as well. And she was always sort of the weird girl out of the girly girl group. She wasn't chubby, but she wasn't skinny either. Anyway, fast forward 2 years. She's plays the trombone in the high school band and has one of her friends give me this note asking me to the Sadie Hawkins. I said no. Mostly because I wasn't planning on going at all. But also because she was just a little out there for my tastes. In college, I met her at a bar once. And she's freaking gorgeous, smart, and hilarious. I think ultimately, I lost. I'm a Reddit guy and I have friend-zoned a few females before. Although I hate the use of the term friend-zone. I much prefer the term selective dating. There have been a few females before who, even though they are very attractive females, I have felt I would benefit more from a friendship with them than a relationship. I feel it is important for myself to have a mix of male and female friends, and although some of you may find this hard to comprehend, I truly believe this is the best path to a healthy lifestyle. I've had my current job for about 7 months now. I'm a secretary in a doctor's office. It's a bigger office and there are a few doctors there. And one of them has this amazingly hot son who comes in to help out every now and then when he's not in school. He and I became good friends over time. And I inevitably developed feelings for him, which I assumed were mutual, judging by his constant flirting and compliments. So you can imagine my surprise when he pulls me aside one day and asks for my advice because he's planning on proposing to the girlfriend I didn't know existed until that very moment. If I had had balls, they would have shriveled up and crawled back inside. Hello, Friendzone. You merciless son of a bitch. A guy has to be pretty out of touch to not realize that no girl can get any guy she wants. The whole friendzone thing stems from the idea that if a guy does the right thing, the girl will fall for him. Like pickup artist moves. It ignores the fact that women care what you look like and don't all want the same behaviors from a guy. But my favorite story about a guy not being interested was I was once set up with a guy on a group trip. From the second we met, I realized he was not interested and was willing to switch to friend mode. The guy proceeded to make it so awkward that I had to avoid him entirely. It was like he thought I was going to lunge on him if I got within 5 feet of him. Totally in love with the guy who introduced me to Reddit. He pays for my meals, cooked me dinner once, offered to meet my parents the last time he picked me up for dinner. Sounds not so bad, right? Last week we were at a bar with some friends and he brought up the birthday gift I gave him and said yep, she's the greatest friend ever, and tried to give me a high five. I witnessed my own friendzoning moment. Open bracket. Unlike most people, when I like someone like that and I learn they don't like me like that back, I usually stop hanging out with them. I don't want to torture myself. So, no, I have not been friend-zoned. I think it is a choice. Accept it and move on. Or live in a fantasy hell you created all your own. I have never been friend-zoned before because I'm not pretty or extroverted enough for guys to be my friends. Yay loneliness. So the guys of Reddit can share their friend-zone stories. But if the ladies do, we get told he just didn't want to date a fatty or quiet girls that have a crush on someone, and that someone starts dating another girl isn't considered friend-zoning. It's you needing to man up or something along those lines. Get a grip. Guys, you all are just as guilty as us ladies. There was a girl in my class who kept on glancing at me and giggling and stuff. Then I found notes with hearts and things in my locker, in my bag, on my desk, etc. I knew it was that girl because I recognize her handwriting. She wrote things like, "I love you, I want to be your slave," and the things gradually get sicker. "Pull down my dress and kiss my forest," or "When are we going to get married? I'm wet for you already." She's actually a weirdo in my class. Very scary, and I have no heart for her. So I just walked up to her and said, "I'm sorry, but I'm unable to accept your transaction of love. My heart cannot proceed with such a course. I hope it's okay to keep some distance away from each other as friends." Double quote. One of my best guy friends in high school who I had a little bit of a crush on. Hey, guess what just happened? Me. What? Him. I asked Allison to prom and she said yes. We're going to the movies this weekend too. Me. Gribbet. Strangled laughter. Had the biggest crush on my friend in college. I'd invite him over to study several times. Imagine sharing Clueless with the hair tossing and the rolling off the bed. Nothing ever came of it. And I thought he just missed the signals. A couple years later, drunk at a New Year's party, I confessed what I thought was my big secret. He admitted that he knew all along and had deftly avoided my advances. Embarrassing for all involved. Notice how few to none of these stories have segments of anger and bitterness where girls decry all men as only liking bitches and how all the nice girls can't get anyone. Weirdest ever. I had been hanging out with this guy for almost a year. He liked me and I liked him. I went over his house once for his birthday. We went to his room and made out a little. The door was cracked and in came his dog. The dog then started to growl and bite my ankles. A week later I asked if he wanted to be more than friends. He said exact quote, "We can't date. My dog hates you. I'm afraid he might hurt you. I hope we can stay friends. I like you but I love my dog." Friendzoned by a freaking dog. A guy once walked me home in order to ask for my friend's phone number. I'm glad you posted this. This happened to me all the time until my second year of college, graduated this past spring. The worst one was that I was so in love with my closest male friend in high school. I did end up telling him about 6 months after I met him. But I knew he was after another girl. When that didn't work out. About 3 months later, he acted reciprocal toward me. Even telling me he'd like to date me but had some things to work out with himself and his feelings first. Well, fast forward another 3 months and he ends up falling for another girl. About a year into their relationship he tells me while I'm at his brother's birthday with him that there's something about me he finds attractive and would like to investigate that. Oh, and also that he never could see himself staying with this girl forever. I never really totally got the hint and move on until after he eventually did marry that girlfriend. They've been divorced for about 2 years now. Lol. I get so tired of all the guys complaining about getting friendzoned. Like it's something only girls do. It happens to me all the time. Recently I've been hanging out with this guy who keeps telling me how cute I am. How much he likes smart girls that he can't really have a conversation with. How he wishes there were more girls like me. Then he started dating some girl who is obviously just using him. And complained to me about her incessantly. Now they finally broke it off. And he keeps telling me how he doesn't want to date at all anymore. Because he doesn't trust women. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doomed to always be just one of the guys. Without anyone ever considering me as dating material. As a guy, I've friendzoned a lot of girls. It happens. If you're not into someone, there's nothing you can do as long as you're honest, which I always am. What kills me though is that I've had a couple of sexual flings that I was very upfront about not wanting anything more than being sexual. And somehow I get labeled an asshole in the end. Don't get me wrong. I've had my fair share of friends with benefits relationships in which I ended up liking the girl and being sad they didn't want a real relationship. But that doesn't make them an asshole. If someone is honest, can't fault them for that. Got friendzoned by a good friend in the last 2 years in high school. He knew I was into him. And used it for his advantage. By constantly flirting with me just enough to keep me hoping. But at the same time fricking every other chick around him. During that entire time I was there for him and helped him with his schoolwork and through his finals. Then at the prom after shower party, he made a move on me. I was drunk as fuck. We danced really closely and I thought finally, but then he bent down to me and told me he had a new girlfriend. This was the only time I slapped a guy's face. But that felt so good. Haven't heard of him since and I don't wish him well. My best friend is incredibly hot. Friends of mine have seen her photos on FB and don't believe me that she is my best friend. I would not date her. She is attractive and everything. But I can't really see myself with her. I'm pretty sure that the feeling is mutual. Sometimes you just don't feel the same way about another person. Sure, it sucks. But there isn't much that one can do. You can just try to move on and hope you don't get stuck in the same position next time you like someone. I had friendzoned my ex until something sparked and then we dated for a bit. Didn't work out for too long. I'm a guy and I know you weren't asking us, but I have friendzoned a few women before. In my defense, I have Asperger's and wasn't diagnosed until 30, so I really didn't know I was being a douche. I just assumed everyone was like me. There was one awkward time when my friend came up to me and said, "Hey, what's up with you and Jen dating?" I was like, "Oh, we just go out to eat a lot." Jen covered well, but I was basically douche level 100 for putting her in that spot. She was an amazing woman, smart, funny, beautiful, so it wasn't that I wouldn't have jumped at the chance. I honestly didn't believe I had one, so it never came up. When I look back at that scene I cringe knowing how it must have come off, but damn. Also I probably got friendzoned 1000 times and never knew it. Damn X2. I got Facebook zoned. Had a crush on a guy for a while. We went on a few dates. Then all of a sudden he stops talking to me. Avoids my attempts to chat, hang out. And now only likes some of my posts and links on FB. To be fair, guys and girls are idiots. I found out after high school that there were 4 different girls who had massive crushes on me. And I was one lonely moth FK. Then again, I had a massive crush on one of them and I didn't sack up. So, fuck. You are not friend zoned if you've had sex. I'm sorry. That just means sh didn't work out. Or there was no intent of a relationship beyond a hookup. If all of the friend zoned guys had sex with the women that friend zoned them, there would be a lot less bitching, complaining, and a lot more DM. HS. The whole point of the friend zone is these were guys who were trying to be romantic and intimate with a girl and got categorized as a friend or like a brother. I'm a permanent nice guy, so when I reject a girl she just gets the friend zone. I always feel awful about it. But if I don't like you, I don't. But to make up for it, I'll be nicest guy ever and you'll hate how awesome I am. I'm awful. I should just be a dick. But I can't bring myself to. A lot of guys are saying we're, guys, completely oblivious. Part of that is true. But some of us just don't assume someone is interested in us. So for me at least, the girl really has to make the first move, or be extremely forward about their interest. It's sort of a self-doubt thing for me. And I don't ever want to do something the other person doesn't want and would ruin our friendship or just invade their personal space. There was this girl that my friend and I called because we were bored and stuck in traffic. She said I was hot. And I told her I thought she was attractive too. It took 2 times hanging out and a joking statement from my friend for us to make out before I actually made a move. I guess my story is a little different than the ones being told. But everyone's different. So be forward about your interest and you'll at least have an answer. Do ladies not realize that men often make friendzone comments like this hoping to see a reaction of disappointment or hoping the lady will object to the comment? If they really didn't want to date you they probably wouldn't bother to come out and actually say it. Friendzone is not being rejected. Friendzone is being rejected. And being told how sweet you are. And how strange it is you haven't found a girl yet and what huge assholes the guys she dates are. High school. Senior year. I'm friends with this guy. We're spooning on his couch. I'd had a crush on him in the very beginning of my sophomore year but since had long since gotten over it. He had a girlfriend. And was pretty pretentious. Which obviously made it easy to get over. Anyway. We're watching a movie and cuddling and all of a sudden he says, I just wanted you to know. I'm not into you. This isn't anything more than friendship. Okay? To which I say what? Of course not. Why would you say that? To which he says I just know that you have feelings for me. And wanted to let you know that I don't like you like that. Double quote. I'm not sure what you call it in this situation. Maybe unnecessary friend zoning? Or unjustified friend zoning? Or massively delayed friend zoning? Either way, we got into a huge fight because he was convinced I was into him. Which ended our friendship. Fell head over heels for a boy in my club. He was wonderfully nerdy. Smart. A gamer, like me. Mischievous. But truly a gentleman. I met up with him one night to exchange a USB and when I asked what he was doing later, was given the line of going to the gym to meet up with a girl. Usually this is where the story ends. But a girl ended up being a friend of mine. So whatever party I went to they'd be there completely unafraid of PDA. The kicker. She later blocked me with another guy I did like and he tried to hook me up with a guy I didn't care for. Not a cruel move, just sadly ironic.